In a small, quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Chicago, life moved at its own pace. The streets were lined with old brick buildings, their walls painted in shades of gray and brown that told stories of decades gone by. Among the residents was Marcus Johnson, a 12-year-old boy with dark curly hair, bright eyes, and a smile that could light up even the gloomiest days. Marcus lived with his mom, Lisa, and his 8-year-old sister, Tia, in a tiny apartment on the third floor of one of those weathered buildings. Life wasn't easy for the Johnson family. They struggled to make ends meet, but they always found ways to laugh together and support each other no matter what. Every day after school, Marcus would grab his basketball and head outside to play. It was his favorite way to unwind after hours spent sitting in class. On this particular afternoon, as he dribbled the ball between his legs and practiced shooting hoops against the faded backboard nailed to a nearby pole, something unusual caught his attention. Across the street, near the entrance of the building, stood Mr. Thompson, an elderly man who lived 2 floors above them. Mr. Thompson had been living alone ever since his wife passed away years ago, and everyone in the neighborhood knew him as the kind but lonely guy who rarely left his apartment. Today, however, Mr. Thompson was out, and he looked like he needed help. He sat slumped in his wheelchair, his face creased with frustration as he tried to roll it forward. But instead of moving smoothly, the chair wobbled awkwardly, making strange creaking sounds with every attempt. One of the wheels seemed stuck, refusing to budge despite his efforts. Marcus stopped mid-dribble, watching silently for a moment before deciding to step in. "Hey, Mr. Thompson," Marcus called out, jogging over with the basketball tucked under his arm. "Do you need some help?" The older man looked up, startled at first, then offered a weak smile. "Oh, hey there, Marcus," he said, his voice tinged with embarrassment. "I'm just trying to get back inside, but, well, you can see how this thing is acting up." Marcus nodded, setting the basketball aside. Up close, he could see just how worn out the wheelchair really was. Its metal frame was scratched and dented. The rubber tires cracked and uneven. The left wheel tilted slightly inward as if it might fall off entirely any second. It was clear that the chair hadn't been properly maintained in years. "Let me push you home," Marcus offered, already positioning himself behind the wheelchair. Without waiting for a response, he gently began steering it toward the building's entrance. Mr. Thompson didn't protest. He simply leaned back with a sigh, his hands gripping the armrests tightly. As they made their slow progress up the ramp and into the elevator, Marcus couldn't stop thinking about how difficult life must be for someone like Mr. Thompson. Imagine relying on such a broken piece of equipment just to move around. What if it completely stopped working one day? How would he manage? These thoughts weighed heavily on Marcus's mind as they finally reached Mr. Thompson's door. "Thanks for your help, son," Mr. Thompson said gratefully, fumbling with his keys. "You're a good kid." "No problem," Marcus replied, smiling. But, maybe we should fix that chair soon. It doesn't sound too safe." Mr. Thompson chuckled softly. "Fix it? Sure, if I had the money or knew anyone who could do it. But these days, I guess I'll take what I can get." Those words stuck with Marcus long after he returned to his own apartment. That night, as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, he couldn't shake the image of Mr. Thompson struggling with the faulty wheelchair. Something inside him stirred, a mix of empathy and determination. Maybe, just maybe, he could fix it. The next morning, Marcus woke up early, his mind buzzing with ideas. He rummaged through the cluttered drawers in their kitchen, searching for anything useful. A screwdriver here, a wrench there. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Then, remembering the friendly maintenance worker who often fixed things around the building, Marcus went downstairs to ask for more tools. "Hey, Mr. Carter." Marcus greeted the middle-aged man, who was busy tightening bolts on the front gate. "Do you have any extra tools I could borrow? Just for a little while, I promise I'll bring them back in perfect condition." Mr. Carter raised an eyebrow, curious. "What do you need them for?" "I want to fix Mr. Thompson's wheelchair," Marcus explained confidently. "It's all messed up, and he needs it to get around. I think I can make it work again." Impressed by the boy's initiative, Mr. Carter smiled and handed over a toolbox. "All right, kid, you got yourself a deal. But don't let me catch you breaking anything else, okay?" With the borrowed tools in hand, Marcus headed straight to the alley behind their building. Using a few wooden crates as a makeshift workbench, he carefully wheeled the chair out and began examining it. At first glance, the damage seemed overwhelming. Rusted screws refused to turn, parts were missing, and the whole structure groaned under the slightest pressure. Marcus felt a pang of doubt creep in. Was this really something he could fix? But giving up wasn't an option. Every time he thought about quitting, he remembered Mr. Thompson's tired expression and the gratitude in his voice when Marcus helped him earlier. So, he kept going. Day after day, he worked tirelessly after school, teaching himself how to disassemble and reassemble the chair using online videos and sheer trial and error. His fingers blistered from gripping the tools too tightly, and his clothes became stained with grease, but none of that mattered. One evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the alley, something incredible happened. After loosening a particularly stubborn bolt, Marcus heard a faint click. The left wheel spun freely for the first time in months. Overjoyed, he pumped his fist in triumph. This was it, the turning point he'd been waiting for. With renewed energy, Marcus continued repairing the rest of the chair, determined to restore it to its former glory. By the end of the week, the transformation was remarkable. The once clunky, unreliable wheelchair now gleamed under the sunlight, its wheels spinning effortlessly and its frame sturdy once more. Marcus couldn't believe he'd actually done it. For the first time in his young life, he felt truly capable, like he had accomplished something meaningful. On Saturday morning, Marcus rolled the newly repaired wheelchair up to Mr. Thompson's door and knocked nervously. When the old man opened it, his jaw dropped in astonishment. "Is that my chair?" he asked, stepping aside to let Marcus bring it inside. "Yeah," Marcus said shyly, scratching the back of his neck. "I fixed it for you. Thought it'd be easier for you to use now." For a moment, Mr. Thompson was speechless. Then tears welled up in his eyes as he extended a shaky hand to touch the smooth surface of the chair. "Marcus," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion, "you've done something amazing. Thank you." And right then, standing in that modest apartment surrounded by photos of Mr. Thompson's late wife and memories of happier times, Marcus realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could mean the world to someone else. Little did he know the simple gesture would set off a chain reaction that would change not only Mr. Thompson's life, but also his entire family's future forever. Marcus couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Thompson's reaction when he saw the repaired wheelchair. The tears in the old man's eyes, the way his voice cracked with gratitude. It stayed with Marcus long after he left the apartment that day. It wasn't just pride he felt, it was something deeper, a sense of purpose. For the first time, Marcus realized that his actions could make a real difference in someone else's life. But what surprised him even more was how good it made him feel inside. The next few days passed quickly as Marcus returned to his usual routine, school during the day, basketball practice in the evenings, and helping his mom around the house whenever she needed an extra pair of hands. Yet, no matter how busy he was, Marcus kept glancing at the toolbox he'd borrowed from Mr. Carter. He couldn't shake the idea that maybe there were other things in the neighborhood he could fix. Maybe he could help more people like he'd helped Mr. Thompson. One evening, while walking home from school, Marcus noticed Mrs. Patel struggling to carry groceries up the stairs outside their building. She lived on the second floor, and the heavy bags in her arms clearly made climbing difficult. Without hesitation, Marcus rushed over to assist her. "Here, let me take those," he said, grabbing two of the largest bags. Together, they climbed, the steps chatting casually about school and how cold the weather had been lately. When they reached her door, Mrs. Patel smiled warmly. "Thank you so much, Marcus. You're such a sweet boy." Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, "By the way, my kitchen sink has been leaking for weeks now. I don't know who to call to fix it." Marcus perked up immediately. "I can take a look at it," he blurted out before he could stop himself. Realizing how eager he sounded, he quickly added, "If that's okay with you, I mean. I've been learning how to fix stuff." Mrs. Patel hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "All right, why not? Come by tomorrow afternoon if you have time." That night, Marcus barely slept. His mind raced with excitement and nerves. Could he really fix a leaky sink? He'd never worked on plumbing before, but he figured he could figure it out with some research. Early the next morning, he went online and watched several videos about fixing common household leaks. Armed with newfound knowledge and his trusty toolbox, Marcus knocked on Mrs. Patel's door later that afternoon. "Are you sure about this?" Mrs. Patel asked skeptically as she led him to the kitchen. Water dripped steadily from the faucet into a pot placed beneath it, creating a rhythmic plink-plink sound that echoed through the room. "I'll do my best," Marcus replied confidently, though his stomach churned with doubt. Still, he rolled up his sleeves and got to work. At first, everything seemed overwhelming. The pipes looked complicated, and the wrench slipped several times as he tried to loosen the connections. But slowly, step by step, Marcus followed the instructions he'd memorized from the videos. After nearly an hour of fumbling and adjusting, he tightened the final bolt and turned the water back on. To his amazement, the leak was gone. No more dripping, no more wasted water. Marcus grinned triumphantly as Mrs. Patel clapped her hands in delight. "You did it," she exclaimed. "How can I ever thank you?" "It's nothing," Marcus mumbled modestly, though his chest swelled with pride. Over the next few days, word spread among the neighbors about the young boy who could fix anything. Soon enough, requests began pouring in. One neighbor wanted help repairing a broken bike tire, another needed assistance with a jammed door lock, and yet another asked Marcus to fix a lawnmower that hadn't worked in years. Each task presented its own challenges, but Marcus tackled them all with determination and creativity. What started as a personal mission to help Mr. Thompson had blossomed into something much bigger. People in the community began relying on Marcus, not because he was the cheapest option, he didn't charge anything, or the fastest worker, he often spent hours perfecting his repairs, but because he genuinely cared. Unlike many adults who sometimes grumbled or complained when asked for favors, Marcus approached every job with enthusiasm and kindness, and that made all the difference. Despite his growing reputation as the neighborhood handyman, Marcus kept his efforts hidden from his family. He didn't want them to worry or think he was neglecting his studies. Instead, he worked quietly, sneaking off to complete tasks whenever he had free time. Sometimes he stayed late into the evening, using the dim light of the alleyway to finish a project. Other times he woke up early on weekends to avoid being noticed. But secrets have a way of coming out eventually. One Saturday afternoon, while Marcus was tinkering with a neighbor's bicycle in the courtyard, his little sister Tia spotted him. "What are you doing?" she demanded, crossing her arms and narrowing her eyes suspiciously. "Nothing," Marcus replied quickly, avoiding her gaze. Tia wasn't convinced. "Does Mom know you're fixing everyone's stuff instead of playing with me?" Marcus sighed. There was no point lying to his sharp-eyed sister. "Look, Tia, I'm just trying to help people. They need things fixed, and I can do it. That's all. But why are you doing it secretly?" Tia pressed. Before Marcus could answer, a loud voice interrupted them. "Because he doesn't want anyone making a fuss over him." They both turned to see Mr. Carter, the maintenance worker, standing nearby with a wide grin on his face. He'd been watching Marcus work from afar for weeks now and couldn't resist teasing him. "Well, kid," Mr. Carter continued, walking over to pat Marcus on the shoulder. "You might not want attention, but your secret's out. Everyone in the building knows what you've been up to. And let me tell you, they're all talking about how amazing you are." Marcus's cheeks flushed red. He hadn't expected anyone to notice, let alone talk about him. But as embarrassing as it felt, he also couldn't deny the warm glow of satisfaction spreading through his chest. Word of Marcus's kindness reached even farther than the apartment complex. One crisp autumn morning as Marcus walked to school, he spotted a familiar van parked near the corner store. Its side panel read, "Carter's Auto Repair." Curious, Marcus wandered closer, only to find Mr. Carter himself leaning against the vehicle sipping coffee. "Hey, champ," Mr. Carter greeted him. "Got a minute?" Marcus nodded, intrigued. "I've been meaning to ask you something," Mr. Carter said, lowering his cup. "You've got talent, kid. Real talent. Not just with tools, but with problem solving. I've seen how you tackle jobs most adults would give up on. Ever thought about turning this into something bigger? What do you mean? Marcus asked, tilting his head. I mean, Mr. Carter explained. How'd you like to come work? With me? I run my own auto repair shop downtown and I could use someone like you. Think of it as an apprenticeship. I'll teach you everything I know, and pay you for it too. Marcus's heart skipped a beat. Work in a real repair shop? Learn professional skills? Earn money to help his family? It sounded too good to be true. But I'm only 12, Marcus stammered. Mr. Carter chuckled. Age doesn't matter when you've got passion and skill. Besides, we'll start small. Just weekends and holidays for now. What do you say? For a moment, Marcus stood frozen, overwhelmed by the opportunity. Then slowly a smile broke across his face. Yes, he said firmly. I'd love to. As Marcus shook Mr. Carter's hand, he felt a surge of hope and excitement. This wasn't just a job. It was a chance to grow, to learn, and to become someone who could support his family in ways he'd never imagined. Little did he know accepting this offer would set off a chain of events that would change his life, and the lives of those around him, in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. From that day forward, Marcus threw himself into his new role with unmatched dedication. Every weekend, he joined Mr. Carter at the repair shop, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. He learned how engines worked, how to diagnose problems, and how to handle tools with precision. The work was hard, and there were days when frustration threatened to overwhelm him. But Marcus never gave up. He reminded himself of why he started, to help others, and that kept him going. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, Marcus's reputation continued to grow. People weren't just grateful for his repairs, they admired his selflessness and determination. Slowly but surely, Marcus became a symbol of hope in the community, a reminder that even in tough times, kindness and hard work could spark positive change. And as winter approached, blanketing the streets in snow, Marcus knew one thing for certain. His journey was only beginning. As the weeks turned into months, Marcus settled into a rhythm that balanced his schoolwork, his apprenticeship at Carter's Auto Repair, and his growing list of neighborhood repair jobs. Life was busier than ever, but Marcus didn't mind. Each day brought new challenges and opportunities to learn, and he thrived on the sense of purpose they gave him. What started as a simple act of kindness, fixing Mr. Thompson's wheelchair, had snowballed into something far greater, touching lives in ways Marcus never could have predicted. One chilly November evening, as Marcus walked home from the repair shop, he noticed a group of neighbors gathered near the building's entrance. They were chatting animatedly, their breath forming clouds in the frosty air. Curious, Marcus approached them. "What's going on?" he asked casually, though his heart skipped a beat when he saw the familiar faces of Mrs. Patel, Mr. Carter, and even Mr. Thompson standing among the crowd. "Oh, Marcus," Mrs. Patel exclaimed, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "We've been waiting for you. Come inside. You won't believe this." Confused but intrigued, Marcus followed the group upstairs to Mr. Thompson's apartment. The door was already open and the cozy living room buzzed with energy. A long table had been set up in the center, adorned with plates of homemade food: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, steaming bowls of soup, and freshly baked pies. The aroma filled the air, making Marcus's stomach growl despite his confusion. "What's all this?" Marcus asked, looking around at the smiling faces. "It's a thank you dinner for you," Mr. Thompson said, stepping forward with a warm smile. "We wanted to show our appreciation for everything you've done for us." Marcus blinked, stunned. "For me? But I didn't do anything special." "That's where you're wrong," Mrs. Patel interjected, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've helped so many of us, fixing things, solving problems, and bringing joy to our lives. You deserve this." Before Marcus could protest further, everyone ushered him to the head of the table. Plates were passed around, laughter filled the room, and stories about Marcus's good deeds echoed through the apartment. Someone mentioned how he'd fixed Mrs. Patel's leaky sink, while another neighbor recalled how he'd repaired a broken bike for their son. Even Tia chimed in, proudly boasting about her big brother's skills. For the first time in his life, Marcus felt truly seen and appreciated. Growing up in a struggling family, he'd always felt invisible, like his efforts barely mattered in the grand scheme of things. But here, surrounded by people who cared about him, he realized just how much impact one person could have. After dessert, a rich chocolate cake baked by Mrs. Patel, Mr. Thompson stood up and cleared his throat. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at him. In his hands, he held a small white envelope. "Marcus," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "There's something else I want to give you." He handed the envelope to Marcus, who accepted it hesitantly. His fingers trembled as he opened it, revealing a check inside. The amount written in bold black ink made his jaw drop. $5,000. "This is too much," Marcus stammered, glancing up at Mr. Thompson. "I can't accept this." "Yes, you can," Mr. Thompson insisted firmly. "You gave me more than just a working wheelchair. You gave me my independence back. This is my way of saying thank you." Tears welled up in Marcus's eyes as he stared at the check. He thought about all the sacrifices his mom had made over the years. The late-night shifts, the skipped meals, the constant worry about bills and rent. For the first time in a long time, there was hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of hugs, laughter, and heartfelt conversations. When Marcus finally returned home later that night, clutching the envelope tightly, he found his mom sitting at the kitchen table, sorting through stacks of unpaid bills. Her face lit up when she saw him. "How was your day, sweetheart?" she asked, though her weary expression betrayed the weight she carried. "Mom," Marcus began, pulling out the chair beside her. "Something happened tonight." He told her everything: the dinner, the stories, and most importantly, the check. At first, Lisa refused to believe it. "Are you serious?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "This is real." "It's real," Marcus assured her, holding her hand. "And we're going to use it to take care of everything, to pay off the bills, buy groceries, and save some for emergencies." Lisa pulled him into a tight embrace, sobbing quietly. "You're incredible, Marcus, do you know that? You've changed our lives." Over the next few days, the Johnson family experienced a transformation they hadn't dared to dream of. With the money from Mr. Thompson, they paid off their overdue rent, settled utility bills, and stocked the pantry with essentials. For the first time in years, they didn't have to count every penny or stress about eviction notices. It wasn't luxury. They still lived in the same cramped apartment, but it was stability. And stability meant everything. Word of Mr. Thompson's generous gift spread quickly through the neighborhood. Some people were surprised, others inspired, but everyone agreed that Marcus deserved it. His selflessness had touched countless lives, and now, thanks to Mr. Thompson, it was paying dividends in unimaginable ways. But the ripple effects didn't stop there. One afternoon, while Marcus worked alongside Mr. Carter at the repair shop, a customer walked in with a lawnmower that wouldn't start. As Marcus bent over the machine, carefully inspecting its components, he overheard Mr. Carter speaking with someone outside the garage. The conversation caught his attention. "I'm telling you, this kid's got potential," Mr. Carter said enthusiastically. "He's not just smart, he's driven. If anyone deserves a shot, it's him." Curious, Marcus peeked out of the garage to see who Mr. Carter was talking to. To his surprise, it was a tall man wearing a suit and carrying a clipboard. The stranger nodded thoughtfully before turning to Marcus. "So you're the famous handyman I've been hearing about?" Marcus straightened up nervously, wiping grease-stained hands on his jeans. Yeah, I guess so." "Well," the man said, extending a hand. "My name's Mr. Reynolds. I own a chain of hardware stores across the city. Mr. Carter here tells me you're quite the prodigy. Would you be interested in doing some freelance work for us? We often get customers who need quick fixes, and having someone like you on call would be invaluable." Marcus's eyes widened. Freelance work? For a major company? It sounded almost too good to be true. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Mr. Carter urged, grinning. This is your chance to earn even more and expand your skills. After a moment of hesitation, Marcus shook Mr. Reynolds' hand. Okay, I'll do it. From that day forward, Marcus's schedule became even busier. On top of his apprenticeship and neighborhood repairs, he began taking on freelance gigs for Mr. Reynolds' hardware stores, whether it was fixing appliances, assembling furniture, or troubleshooting electronics. Marcus tackled each job with the same determination and care that had earned him his reputation. His earnings grew steadily, allowing him to contribute more to his family's finances. Meanwhile, the Johnson household continued to flourish. With fewer financial worries weighing them down, Lisa started volunteering at the local food bank, finding fulfillment in helping others the way her son had helped their community. Tia, inspired by Marcus's success, threw herself into her studies, determined to follow in her brother's footsteps. Even their tiny apartment seemed brighter, filled with laughter and dreams of a better future. As winter deepened and snow blanketed the streets, Marcus reflected on how much had changed since that fateful day he decided to fix Mr. Thompson's wheelchair. What began as a small act of kindness had transformed into a journey of growth, resilience, and connection. And yet Marcus knew this was only the beginning. There were still challenges ahead, but armed with his tools, his skills, and the unwavering support of those around him, he was ready to face whatever came next. Little did he know, the best was yet to come. As Marcus entered his teenage years, life seemed to move at a faster pace than ever before. The combination of school, his apprenticeship with Mr. Carter, freelance gigs for Mr. Reynolds' hardware stores, and his ongoing commitment to helping neighbors kept him constantly on the go. Yet despite the whirlwind of responsibilities, Marcus thrived. Each new challenge pushed him to grow, not just as a mechanic, but as a person. He was no longer just the boy who fixed broken wheelchairs. He had become a symbol of hope and resilience in his community. Word of Marcus's talents continued to spread far beyond their neighborhood. People from nearby areas began seeking him out for repairs, drawn by stories of his skill and kindness. Some came with simple requests, fixing leaky faucets or mending bicycles, while others brought more complex projects like restoring old appliances or troubleshooting car engines. No matter the task, Marcus approached it with the same dedication that had defined his work since the beginning. His reputation grew steadily, earning him not only praise but also opportunities he never could have imagined. One crisp spring morning, while working on a particularly stubborn engine at Carter's Auto Repair, Marcus received an unexpected visit. A well-dressed woman walked into the garage, her heels clicking against the concrete floor. She introduced herself as Ms. Harper, a representative from a local nonprofit organization called Community Builders. Intrigued, Marcus wiped his hands on a rag and listened intently as she explained her purpose. "We've heard about your incredible work," Ms. Harper said warmly. "Not just your technical skills, but your commitment to helping others. We're launching a program to teach young people valuable trade skills, and we'd love for you to be part of it." Marcus raised an eyebrow, unsure of what she meant. "Me? What can I do?" Ms. Harper smiled. "You'd be a mentor, a role model for kids who might not see a future for themselves. You've already proven that hard work and compassion can change lives. Imagine the impact you could have if you shared your knowledge with others." The idea both excited and intimidated Marcus. Mentoring sounded rewarding, but could he really teach others when he still felt like he had so much to learn himself? Still, the thought of giving back in such a meaningful way resonated deeply with him. After discussing it with Mr. Carter, who encouraged him to take the opportunity, Marcus agreed to join the program. Over the following months, Marcus spent his weekends teaching small groups of teenagers basic repair skills. At first, many of the kids were skeptical. They didn't believe someone their age could teach them anything useful. But Marcus quickly won them over with his patience, humor, and genuine passion for the craft. He showed them how to disassemble and reassemble simple machines, diagnose common problems, and use tools safely. More importantly, he taught them the value of perseverance and teamwork. One of his students, a shy 14-year-old named Jamal, stood out in particular. Like Marcus, Jamal came from a struggling family and often doubted his abilities. But under Marcus's guidance, he blossomed. By the end of the program, Jamal proudly repaired a broken lawnmower all by himself, earning applause from the entire group. As they celebrated, Marcus realized that mentoring wasn't just about passing on skills. It was about empowering others to believe in themselves. Meanwhile, Marcus's own life continued to evolve. Thanks to his growing income from various jobs, he was able to contribute significantly to his family's financial stability. Rent payments were no longer a source of stress, groceries were plentiful, and there was even money left over for occasional treats. For Lisa, Marcus's mom, this newfound security allowed her to focus on her own dreams. She enrolled in night classes to earn her GED, determined to create better opportunities for herself and her children. Tia, now 10 years old, idolized her big brother more than ever. Inspired by his achievements, she threw herself into her studies and joined the school's robotics club. Her teachers noticed her sharp mind and creativity, predicting great things for her future. Watching his little sister thrive filled Marcus with pride and reinforced his belief in the power of hard work and determination. But perhaps the most profound change occurred within the community itself. Marcus's acts of kindness sparked a ripple effect, inspiring others to pay it forward. Neighbors who once kept to themselves began reaching out to help one another. Mrs. Patel organized a weekly food drive for struggling families, while Mr. Thompson volunteered at the local library, sharing stories with children during storytime sessions. Even Mr. Carter, who had always been somewhat reserved, started hosting free workshops to teach residents basic home maintenance skills. The sense of unity and mutual support transformed the neighborhood. Once seen as run down and forgotten, it now buzzed with energy and optimism. People took pride in their surroundings, planting flowers along the sidewalks and organizing cleanup days. Crime rates dropped, and smiles became more common than frowns. It was as though Marcus's efforts had ignited a spark that refused to fade. Amidst all these positive changes, Marcus remained humble. He never sought recognition or reward for his actions. His motivation came from a deep desire to make a difference. Yet fate had other plans. One summer afternoon, while attending a community event hosted by community builders, Marcus found himself face-to-face with none other than Mayor Peterson, the city's charismatic leader. "Marcus Johnson, right?" the mayor asked, shaking his hand firmly. "I've heard remarkable things about you." Caught off guard, Marcus nodded nervously. Yes, sir. Nice to meet you." Mayor Peterson chuckled. "Relax, son. I'm here to congratulate you. Your work has inspired countless people, not just in your neighborhood but across the city. You remind us all of the power of compassion and hard work. That's something worth celebrating." Before Marcus could respond, the mayor presented him with a certificate of appreciation, signed by every member of the city council. Cameras flashed as reporters captured the moment, and soon enough, Marcus's story appeared in newspapers and online articles. Overnight, he became a local hero, a testament to what one person could achieve through determination and goodwill. Despite the sudden fame, Marcus stayed grounded. He continued his work, mentoring students, fixing things for neighbors, and learning new skills at the repair shop. To him, nothing had changed. He was still the same boy who wanted to help others. But to those around him, Marcus represented something extraordinary. Proof that kindness, no matter how small, could create waves of change. As autumn arrived, painting the trees in shades of gold and crimson, Marcus reflected on how far he'd come. From the quiet, unassuming kid who fixed Mr. Thompson's wheelchair to the confident young man standing at the center of a thriving community, his journey had been nothing short of miraculous. And yet, he knew there was still more to do. There would always be challenges to overcome, problems to solve, and lives to touch. With a toolbox in one hand and a heart full of hope, Marcus stepped forward into the next chapter of his life, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Little did he know, his greatest adventure was just beginning, and it would lead him places he couldn't yet imagine. Years passed, and Marcus grew into a young man whose name echoed far beyond the small neighborhood where his journey began. What started as a simple act of kindness, fixing Mr. Thompson's wheelchair, had evolved into something extraordinary, shaping not only Marcus's life but also the lives of countless others. His story became a beacon of hope, proving that even in the toughest circumstances, one person could make a difference. By the age of 22, Marcus had transformed from a boy tinkering with tools in an alleyway to a skilled mechanic known throughout the city. With the support of mentors like Mr. Carter and opportunities provided by programs like Community Builders, he honed his craft and expanded his expertise. He learned everything from advanced automotive repair to electrical systems, earning certifications and accolades along the way. Yet despite his success, Marcus never lost sight of why he started: to help people. One crisp autumn morning, Marcus stood outside a newly renovated storefront on the corner of Main Street, staring at the freshly painted sign above the door, Thompson's Fix-It. It was his own repair shop, named in honor of the man who had changed his life all those years ago. Opening this business wasn't just a dream come true, it was a testament to how far he'd come, and how many lives he'd touched along the way. The grand opening drew a crowd unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. Neighbors, friends, former students, and even strangers lined up to congratulate him. Mrs. Patel brought homemade cookies, Tia proudly handed out flyers, and Mr. Thompson sat in his now pristine wheelchair, beaming with pride. As Marcus greeted, each visitor shaking hands and sharing stories, he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with gratitude. This moment, the culmination of years of hard work and perseverance, was more than he'd ever imagined possible. But owning a repair shop wasn't just about fixing things for Marcus. It was about continuing the legacy of kindness and community service that had defined his journey. From day one, he implemented policies that reflected his values. For example, he offered discounted rates to low-income families and free repairs for senior citizens. On weekends, he hosted workshops to teach basic maintenance skills, ensuring that everyone had access to the knowledge they needed to take care of their belongings. And whenever someone walked through the door with a problem, no matter how big or small, Marcus treated them with respect and empathy. Word of Thompson's Fix-It spread quickly, attracting customers from across the city. People didn't choose Marcus's shop because it was cheaper than competitors, though it often was, or because it was conveniently located, though that helped. They came because they trusted him. They knew he cared, not just about fixing machines, but about improving lives. Whether it was repairing a broken lawnmower so a single mom could keep her yard tidy, or restoring a beloved family car past, down through generations, Marcus approached every job with the same level of dedication and care. As the shop flourished, so did Marcus's family. The financial stability he provided allowed Lisa, his mom, to pursue her long-held dream of becoming a social worker. After earning her GED and completing college courses, she landed a position at a local nonprofit, helping struggling families navigate challenges similar to those she and Marcus had faced years earlier. Watching her thrive filled Marcus with immense pride. He knew how hard she'd worked to get there. Tia, meanwhile, blossomed into a bright and ambitious teenager. Her passion for robotics led her to win several science fairs, earning scholarships that would eventually send her to a prestigious university. She credited much of her success to Marcus, saying, "He taught me that nothing is impossible if you're willing to work for it." Even Mr. Thompson remained a cherished part of Marcus's life. Now in his late 70s, the old man visited the shop regularly, sharing stories and offering advice. Though he rarely spoke of it, Marcus knew how much his repaired wheelchair had meant to Mr. Thompson, not just as a means of mobility but as a symbol of regained independence. Their bond had grown stronger over the years, transcending the roles of helper and recipient to become a genuine friendship. Beyond his immediate circle, Marcus's influence continued to ripple outward. Many of the teenagers he'd mentored through Community Builders went on to pursue careers in trades or engineering, inspired by his example. One former student, Jamal, opened his own bike repair shop in another part of the city, naming it Marcus's Legacy and Tribute. Others volunteered in their own communities, spreading the spirit of generosity that Marcus had instilled in them. The neighborhood itself underwent a remarkable transformation. Once overlooked and neglected, it now thrived as a tight-knit community united by shared values of compassion and resilience. Gardens bloomed where weeds once grew, murals adorned walls that were once covered in graffiti, and laughter echoed through streets that had once been silent. Marcus's actions had sparked a chain reaction, inspiring others to invest in their surroundings and in each other. Yet, amidst all these achievements, Marcus remained humble. He understood that none of it would have been possible without the support of those around him, his family, his neighbors, his mentors, and the countless individuals who believed in him when he doubted himself. Success, he realized, wasn't measured by money or fame, but by the impact you had on others. One evening, as Marcus locked up the shop after a long day, he paused to look at the bustling street outside. Families strolled by, chatting and laughing. Children played tag under the glow of streetlights, their giggles carrying through the cool air. Across the road, a group of volunteers planted flowers in the median, while a local musician strummed his guitar nearby. It was a scene of vibrancy and connection, a far cry from the quiet, struggling neighborhood Marcus remembered from his childhood. Reflecting on how much had changed, Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He thought about the boy he used to be, the one who spent hours tinkering in the alley, unsure if anyone would notice his efforts. That boy had dared to believe in himself, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. And now, standing here as a successful businessman, mentor, and pillar of the community, Marcus knew that belief had paid off in ways he could never have predicted. Still, he understood that his journey wasn't over. There would always be more problems to solve, more people to help, and more dreams to chase. But for the first time in his life, Marcus felt ready for whatever lay ahead. He had built a foundation of strength, kindness, and determination that would carry him through any challenge. As he turned off the lights and headed home, Marcus smiled to himself. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities, new lessons, and new chances to make a difference, and he wouldn't have it any other way. In the end, Marcus's story wasn't just about fixing things, it was about fixing lives. Through his unwavering commitment to helping others, he had created a legacy of hope, resilience, and unity. He proved that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could lead to the biggest changes, not just for one person, but for entire communities. And as long as there were people willing to lend a hand, the world would continue to shine a little brighter.